Welcome back, everybody, to the Right Way Sports Network YouTube channel. I'm your host, Daniel Alameda, here with my guy, as always, Andrew Little. We're giving you guys our 10 best matchups for fantasy football week number 10. If you guys are watching this, like this video, subscribe to the channel. Also, interact with us. This is what we do. This isn't just us sitting on the platform with nobody in front of us. We want to talk with you guys. So comment down below any questions. Reach out to us. We've got you guys. But as always, we've got 10 players for you guys. Andrew, give them number one, and we'll roll from there.
And my number one guy this week, Christian Kirk, going up against the 49ers. Both the Jaguars and Niners coming off of bye weeks. The San Francisco had that weird losing skid a couple weeks ago. I think they come out hot. I think their offense plays really well. So what's that mean for Jacksonville playing from behind? Who does that benefit? Those receivers, especially Christian Kirk, the slot monster. I think he gets targeted a ton. He's got a great matchup against Isaiah Oliver, who's really been struggling. Kirk had 6 or more targets every week from weeks 2 to 7. I think he gets like 8 this week and really pops off.
So something else with Christian Kirk, I love that you made that pick. If you guys look at his game log, we'll put it up right here. He is having an amazing season. And when you look at his big plays, Andrew, I'm telling you, every single week so far this year, he's had a play of 25 or more yards. He's a big play machine. I love Christian Kirk in this matchup. Number 2, my number 1 guy, give me Chris Godwin. And it's funny that we're talking about this because I just traded for him in fantasy. This is his week, right? He's going up against Tennessee Titans defense. We saw what Deontay Johnson just did. They give up a ton of receptions to opposing receivers. Now you look at the Buccaneers, who's the guy that gets the most targets on their team? Chris Godwin. He's a reception monster. He plays in the slot most of the time. Chris Godwin has an amazing matchup here. I'm expecting at least 6 to 7 receptions, 70-something yards, because once again, I look at the matchup, they allow a ton of receptions, and I look at Chris Godwin, people are buying or should be buying low on him after a rough week last week. Chris Godwin, target monster. I love him. He's my number 2.
Yeah, great parallels between this week and last week when the Steelers had George Pickens, who pretty notably didn't have a great game, and then Deontay Johnson was a target monster. Godwin, much more of a Deontay Johnson type player, so love that matchup. And I'm going to stick with a buy low player. Give me Jonnu Smith going up against the Washington Commanders. And Geno, it's been a rough stretch. Last week especially was tough against the Ravens. No touchdowns for that Seattle offense, but I think he really bounces back. Washington is dead last against quarterbacks and fantasy points, and they just traded their two best pass rushers. So this could be really rough for them. Seattle's offensive line's kind of been struggling. They're going to have a pretty easy matchup now without Chase Young, Montez Sweat to worry about. Keep an eye on DK Metcalf versus Emmanuel Forbes as well. I think that matchup could be crazy. I love the Seattle passing game this week.
So first off, once again, as we always do on the show, we should just get shirts, buy low, right? And this is a perfect buy low spot. Buy low on Jonnu Smith after 2 very rough games against great defenses, the Browns and the Ravens. So let me keep it with the same exact theme. Give me DK Metcalf. Give me DK Metcalf. I'm doubling down with you, Andrew, here. Seattle Seahawks, this is a perfect matchup. You look at receivers who have done well against them, the A.J. Browns of the world, these big body X receivers. I know they got Emmanuel Forbes, but they don't have a pass rush. So DK Metcalf, I expect a huge bounce back game. And once again, he is their big play threat. So I like Jackson Smith and Jig, but I like Tyler Lockett. But DK Metcalf is their big play guy. Great matchup here. Beautiful bounce back spot. I expect 70 yards and a touchdown for DK.
Yeah, and 70 yards and a touchdown might be a little bit modest there considering what we've seen from A.J. Brown. So, yeah, that's a fantastic one. And my next guy is going to be another receiver, DeAndre Hopkins, going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And ever since Will Levis took over, this passing game's really opened up, especially for Hopkins. He's had 17 targets the past 2 games. And now they get to go against the Buccaneers defense, who just gave up a historic performance to a different rookie quarterback. C.J. Stroud had that insane 5-touchdown game. They just got picked apart. We saw Noah Brown have a big 75-yard touchdown. Hopkins is the big play threat in this offense. The Texans had 300-yard receivers, 4 different touchdown scorers. I think Hopkins has 100-plus yards, a touchdown, and at least 1 big play.
And when you look at this matchup, too, you got to understand, people, like, the quarterback matters. Will Levis is different than Ryan Tannehill. Tannehill wasn't giving him any chances. I'm with you, Andrew. I think Hopkins has a beautiful matchup, and I think he has a big week. My next guy is a guy I've been watching since college, Demario Douglas. Demario Douglas may be 5'8", Andrew, but the dude is an absolute stud. He can do it both ways, right? He's gotten 5 or more targets in each of the past 3 games. Patriots are having a lot of injuries at wide receiver. And Douglas, another thing too, is they use him in the end around game. He's gotten 1 rush in every single game this year, and he's got 2 in 2 of his past 3 games. So I look at a guy, especially if I'm, putting a guy in my lineup, if I'm putting money on this guy, Demario Douglas is getting chances. He's getting work. And I look at what they've got this weekend. Like you said, Mac Jones is struggling right now. They've got a lot of quick plays. Demario Douglas is an explosive threat. Get him around the edge. He's getting 5+ targets. I love this matchup for Douglas.
Yeah, and Douglas, he was one of the best pure slot receivers in the draft coming out of Liberty, and we should have seen this coming. I mean, he's just a quintessential Patriots receiver, and he's getting opportunities. Some of that is circumstantial with the injuries they've had. Some of it's just, hey, Demario Douglas can play, and I think he keeps it up this week. My next guy, somebody who's been on fire, I've had a couple buy lows, but Taysom Hill's been going crazy the past 3 weeks. Double-digit fantasy points, 10 touches per game in that span, and now he gets a pretty good matchup against the Minnesota Vikings. They're bottom 12 against tight ends. Last week, Jonnu Smith, who's kind of a gadget player as well, had 100 yards. But Taysom Hill is just the thing with him used to be always got a high upside, low floor. Not anymore. He's getting consistent touches. They're using him as a receiver. They're giving him touches in the run game as well. I think Taysom Hill is just a really safe start going forward, and I like this matchup.
You also didn't mention, Andrew, the dude's playing quarterback too, so you can be getting points, whether it's him tossing a couple balls. That's the thing where a lot of people are looking at Derek Carr too. I don't trust Derek Carr right now because of the Taysom Hill factor. The dude is getting reps. I'm with you, Andrew. I absolutely love Taysom Hill. You said a guy, and his name was Jonnu Smith. Jonnu Smith is my next guy. He's a player where you can't really trust this Falcons offense, right? Arthur Smith, we don't know what we're getting. Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier, Kyle Pitts, Drake London. What you can count on, though, is Taylor Heinicke, what he's doing with this team, though. Taylor Heinicke is allowing this team to have much more of a passing threat than what Desmond Ridder did. So I look at Jonnu Smith in his first game with Heinicke this year, 5 receptions, 100-something yards. They're going up against the Cardinals, who give up the 3rd most receiving yards to opposing tight ends. And this is a perfect matchup. I look at the Falcons versus the Cardinals as a matchup where Taylor Heinicke, bro, it's your chance. This is your chance. You're going up against a Cardinals defense that's respectfully, they're trash. So, man, I love Jonnu Smith this week. He's seeing the targets. Last week was a glimpse into the future. I'm expecting at least 6 targets from him. He'll get 60-something yards. I wouldn't be surprised if he has another touchdown too. Love Jonnu Smith this week.
Yeah, and you said you can't trust Arthur Smith in that Falcons offense. Well, Arthur Smith loves this guy, and going back to Tennessee, Smith's been his guy. So I think he's just going to continue to have a role in that offense. And my last guy, James Cook, going against the Denver Broncos, going back to our buy low. And a theme on this show used to be, hey, just pick a running back against the Denver Broncos. I'm going back to it. The Broncos' defense is awful against the run. They give up the most fantasy points to running backs, but I'm going to get very scientific here. They also just really suck against AFC East teams for some reason. We talked about Breece Hall that week. He had almost 30 fantasy points, and then signature game against the Dolphins, give up 70 points. Devon Achane broke out. Raheem Mostert went crazy. James Cook is kind of similar to those guys. Maybe not as fast, but very explosive player. And he's going to get opportunities. Even though Leonard Fournette got signed, that's got people worried. I'm not too concerned. Fournette was unsigned for half the year for a reason. He's a decent power back, but shouldn't cut too much into James Cook's role. Last week was bad against the Bengals, but it was really just a bad game script. They only had 8 running back carries total. I think it's a much more back-to-basics game for the Bills, and James Cook gets a lot of usage.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think James Cook is a guy where he's explosive, and he's going to get those explosive plays. I hate that we're doing this, but let me keep it on the same trend, man. Give me Khalil Shakir. Give me Khalil. And once again, I watched the Bengals closely. I watched the Bills closely. I watched the Patriots closely. Those are 3 teams where I consider, hey, I'm a scout for them. I basically watch their games every single week. And the way the Bills are using Khalil is amazing, right? He's, a young guy, and it's something where you look at how they run their offense. They run a lot of 4-receiver, 3-receiver sets. Shakir's getting 60+% of the snaps now. And I look at what he's done recently. He's got 4 more targets in every single game his past 3 games. And listen, you're giving me 4 or 5 targets for a guy that's an explosive big play threat. He's got a reception of 20+ yards in each of his past 3 games. And Josh Allen, this is a prime bounce back spot. Like you said, this Broncos defense has turned a little bit of a new leaf, but I don't expect their, passing defense to be focused on Shakir. They're going to be focused per certain on Stephon Diggs. Make sure Gabe Davis doesn't go over top. Shakir's going to get another 5-target game. Wouldn't be surprised if the dude has a big play, 70 total yards. I love Khalil Shakir this week. So, Andrew, I think once again we might sweep the board here. I think we might go 10 for 10. But overall, what was your thoughts on my guys as well as yours?
I like the list a lot. DK Metcalf is an obvious one, but that matchup is just too great. And then Khalil Shakir, you just brought up. I like him. He's kind of gone under the radar. I think he's the biggest beneficiary of the Dawson Knox injury, not Stephon Diggs, not Gabe Davis, not even Dalton Kincaid. I think it's been Shakir getting those extra reps. And we've known he's a talented player. It's just been about getting the usage, and that's come these past couple weeks.
Completely. So before we go, I want to look at one last matchup real quick. I don't know who's healthy right now. This is just off the whim thing. Whoever's the Lions running back one, bet them against the Chargers. Put them in your fantasy lineup, whether it's Gibbs. I don't know if David Montgomery's back, but the Chargers, what I saw out of them, especially look at what Breece Hall and the New York Jets just did against Chargers rush defense. The Chargers rush defense is not good. So give me whoever's their starting running back. Make sure you stay tuned to the injury report, see who's available, who's not. But whether it's Montgomery, whether it's Gibbs, they're going to go off. Beautiful bounce back spot against the Chargers. So, Andrew, like I said, I think we're going to sweep the board. If you guys are watching this, all we ask, like this video, subscribe to the channel for more, and stay tuned. We're going to be doing this every single week, and we're always interacting with you guys. So we appreciate you guys for tuning in. Stay tuned for more, and we'll catch you guys on the Right Way Sports Network YouTube channel. Beautiful. I'm so pissed I didn't check the Lions one.